Good morning, St. Paul's, and hello to our friends in Ghana who are watching this morning, and to Sandra, who's in Edinburgh, and our friends in the UK. They're tuning in to hear my little report, but most importantly, to hear Leyaata give the message this morning. So thank you so much for this opportunity to be with you, to share. Your interest in this work in Ghana is such an encouragement to us. Such an encouragement to our mission partners in Ghana. So I just really want to thank you and bring greetings to you from our partners there. So as you know, the six of us here in this picture accepted an invitation to be part of a healthcare delegation to Ghana in West Africa to celebrate the opening of a new hospital. And I'm so glad some of our leaders could be with us in person today. We've been involved for about 15 years, providing service, building capacity, teaching, and training over 15 years. And in August, we were invited to come, not to see patients, but to lift our hands in the air with our partners as they opened their, dream come true, perhaps, the Leyaata Hospital. Oh boy, here we go already, eh, guys? Woo. So before I show you some pictures of the Leyaata Hospital, I just want to remind you of the context, in case you're new to this. So where we work is an impoverished region in northern Ghana. There's never been a hospital there. And in fact, the only doctors, dentists, eye doctors that most of these people have ever seen have been us on our annual trips over the last 15 years. There are nurses in village clinics, but other than that, lack of access to health care has meant that needless death is a part of everyday reality there. And sadly, the most vulnerable are the women and the children. So that's the context. This is the Leyaata Hospital. This is a real drone shot. It looks computer generated, but it's actually not. Right? So this is a 130,000 square foot sprawling facility in a tiny village called Carpenter, where we have been traveling to over the past 15 years. So just to give you an idea from above, these buildings are the different departments of the hospital: the emergency department, the surgical theaters, the maternity, labor and delivery, our inpatient wards, our pediatric ward. Each building is a separate department. I'm going to highlight a couple of really cool things some of you might find interesting, but in the top left corner, there's a little building back in the trees. That's an oxygen generating facility. And if some of you remember during COVID, particularly in India, how quickly India ran out of oxygen, many countries are like that. So this little facility here is going to generate oxygen, provide sustainable oxygen, not just for the hospital, but we suspect for the entire country of Ghana. So it'll be an income generator, which leads to sustainability. And the little round building at the back of the hospital, right in the middle at the back, that's the chapel. It's a chapel gazebo where a full-time chaplain will be on staff, where there's a big prayer room for corporate prayer. There are private prayer rooms for any person of any faith to pray, and where the spiritual needs of these patients will be met. So when you're in the facility, on the next slide, you'll sort of get a sense what it looks like. It's all covered walkways linking the buildings, which is very friendly from an infectious disease point of view. And this is Sandra and some of our teammates admiring the floor that they had just scrubbed for the commissioning to make sure it was ready and shining. So it's just fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. And what you don't see in this picture that I showed you is the whole village that has been built to house the staff of the hospital, a school for the kids who are staff kids. There's a soccer pitch, which will double as a helicopter landing site. Although we don't have a helicopter yet, we're praying about how to get a helicopter. But there's a whole village that will support the retention of staff, Ghanaian staff at this hospital, which is one of the biggest challenges in places like Ghana, is keeping staff there. So I'm going to show you just a few of my favorite moments from the trip. This is a picture of our British pediatrician, Anne, with the medical director of Leyaata in the NICU. Now, this one I will not get through without choking up just a little bit, because those of you who've been following us know that Leyaata and I have been working for many years trying to reduce newborn mortality in Ghana, which is sky high. So we've been working with village nurses in tiny clinics, trying to equip them to save lives of babies, which has been very, very successful. But now, women will deliver in this fully equipped labor and delivery run by Dr. Ben, who's a board fellowship certified OBGYN. And this picture is in a 6-bed NICU that is nicer than the NICU we have at Markham Stouffville Oak Valley Hospital. It is state-of-the-art and incredible. So Leyaata and I shed a lot of tears in this NICU, let me tell you. This is a picture of our surgical lead from the UK and our surgical lead in Ghana, and you can just get a sense of this partnership that is going to be moving forward into the future. This is our pharmacy, our Ghanaian pharmacist, Amanda, together with our pharmacist from U of T, Linda, and Sherry Duchenko. Many of you know her from Uxbridge. They were interviewing pharmacists, the 3 women, this week together over Zoom for the Leyaata Hospital. These are our biomed guys. Daniel, a young biomed technician here from Southlake, partnering with the biomed guy, Charlie, in Ghana. Again, a partnership has formed to keep the equipment in this hospital state-of-the-art, upkeep, maintenance, so important. And this is one of my favorite pictures. This is a picture of Abraham, the administrator of Leyaata. You'll notice he's wearing a Lawson Home Improvement t-shirt, which I thought was kind of cool. But beside him, with her hand on his shoulder, is Leyaata, as you can see. And I'm just so thrilled that Leyaata, together with Carol Smith-Romerell, who's here today, 2 experts in organizational leadership, Carol, an expert in running hospitals, they're partnering with Abraham to mentor him and encourage him in this really big role he's taken on. So these are my favorite pictures because they represent this long-standing relationship that's been in place that's now just very organically forming the basis of our new partnership moving forward. And just a couple quick fun pictures for you. This is the CT scan. Now, some of you know we've only had a CT scan in Uxbridge for a few years. And those of you from Port Perry, you don't have a CT scan yet. But Leyaata has a CT scan, if you can imagine. So David Mensah's there, he's dancing. The next picture, he's like hugging this CT scan, because not only will it allow us to give a higher level of care, especially in trauma at Leyaata Hospital, but it's an income-generating machine, because people will come from all over Ghana. It's one of the only functional CT scanners in the country. So very, very exciting. And if that dream wasn't big enough, this is our MRI suite. So we built an MRI suite. I was surprised when we got there that there's a sign on the door, MRI. We don't have an MRI. But in faith, this room's been built, the sign's on the wall, and we're going to pray that we can raise some funds for an MRI machine. And finally, this is a sod cutting ceremony that I had the privilege of being part of with the chief of the village, the deputy minister of health, and Brenda Mensah. We turned the sod for the Leyaata Education and Research Center. This was our gift to Leyaata. Our partners here and in the UK raised money for this center, which will be a center of teaching and training for students and residents from all over the world, virtually and in person. And just before I wrap up, this is the senior leadership team of Leyaata. These are the men and women that are running the hospital. And for those of you who happen to read my book, you'll know 3 of the main characters in this picture. So Dr. Ben in the pink shirt right in the middle. To his right is Abraham. And the woman in the front in the red dress is Ernestina, our dear brother and sisters, partners that we are so excited to continue working with. They're holding something really cool in their hands. And if you want to know what that is, I have a version of it with me today, and I'd be happy to tell you a little bit about what that special thing is. So my report would not be complete unless I shared with you a lesson I learned while in Ghana, because we never leave there without having learned something. And this lesson rose to the top of all the things I've learned during my time in Ghana. I've been reflecting on how, when I began my work there, I felt like any offering that I had, any offering of my skills or time or resources, it just felt so small in the face of the problems there, so imperfect. And even today, as my colleagues and I consider how do we help support the running of this model hospital, our offerings seem inadequate. So I'm going to play you a song just to illustrate what I'm talking about. Is that okay? All right. So this was a good idea in my head. So on this, my 14th trip to Ghana, as I walked the halls of this Leyaata, Our God Rescues Us hospital with my teammates, watched them coming alongside the Leyaata team, I was reminded in this most powerful way that God can take our offerings, no matter how sloppy and inadequate they are, and he can come alongside us. God comes alongside us, and he augments that which we have to offer so that everyone can benefit from it, so that everyone knows who he is, and so that the cries of his people are heard and answered, and that people are rescued. Thank you. Well, thank you, Bev. And listen, we live in a very complex world. The problems that we are facing as individuals, as families, as a church, as a nation are huge. They're massive. And there's no quick fixes or easy solutions. But, and I'm going to, actually, I should say, and there is a God who loves us and who hears the cries of humanity and who mysteriously asks us to be the hands and feet of Christ as we live into life in this broken world by going to the piano, using our gifts for the benefit of others locally and globally. So my report to you guys at St. Paul's from the people of Ghana is to challenge you not to be paralyzed by the problems of this world. Our job is to go to the piano. Go to the piano and just keep playing and just keep playing and leave the ultimate outcome in the hands of the Master who is indeed on a rescue mission in this world. Thanks so much for your support.
Thank you so much, Jen. Let's just pray. Father, it's just been amazing to be a part of what you are doing, to have this glimpse into the way that you are working out of love for all of us and for the people of northern Ghana. Thank you for this witness of your glory, of your care, And we ask that you would embolden us to go to the piano and trust you with the outcome. In Jesus' name, amen.